My name is Fred Sullivan. I currently serve as the president of Tyler County Heritage Society, which is the owner and operator of Heritage Village Museum, the gift shop, and the Picket House. We're delighted to have you with us today. This is the first of our March events, and we have a very full schedule, and I'm going to take just a moment in terms of giving you an idea of what's going on at Heritage Village this March. 3 weeks from today, on the 22nd of March, we're going to celebrate Festival of the Arts with Dogwood Festival, and we have several special events going on that day. At 10 o'clock that morning, we will have the grand opening of our beautiful new Fiber Arts building. We invite all of you out for that. We will have presentations during that time. Also during that time, there is a book signing, which will be here in the village, of a book by some former Tyler County residents, and also the Tyler County Historical Commission is having a tour of Tyler County. Then on the next day, the following Sunday, the 23rd, we will have dinner on the grounds right where you are. This area over here by the blacksmith shop will have more food than you can imagine. Tickets are available in the gift shop and at several other places in town. I would encourage you to join us for dinner on the grounds. It's absolutely the best feed in Tyler County. But we're delighted to have you with us today. We hope that you can join us for some of the other events that are going on this month, and we look forward to seeing you then. Welcome to Toast to Texas Independence. Thank you.
Heroes in Texas history. We are here today to celebrate Texas Independence Day. Stephen F. Austin, the father of Texas, led 300 families to this new land called Texas. Austin's group made the first settlement at Columbus and Washington on the Brazos. We toast Stephen F. Austin.
Sam Houston organized the Texas Army and became its commander-in-chief. He led his troops in many battles against the Mexican Army, led by General Santa Anna. General Houston's greatest victory came at the Battle of San Jacinto, where the Texas Army defeated this Mexican army and gained its independence from Mexico. Sam Houston was elected the first president of the new Republic of Texas. We toast General Sam Houston.
William Barrett Travis, the leader of the men at the Alamo. He fought bravely with the Texas Volunteers to defend the Alamo from Santa Anna and the Mexican army. Although defeated, Colonel Travis wrote his famous message to the people of Texas and all Americans in the world. He told about the battle and how the Mexicans wanted him to surrender. He answered with a cannon shot. Travis said the Texas Volunteers would fight until they died. He signed the letter, God and Texas, victory or death. We toast Colonel William B. Travis. Davy Crockett, Ben Milam, Jim Bowie, James Fannin, and many more Texas heroes fought for Texas independence. We toast all these heroes and the great state of Texas.
It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today. It's Jim Boone. I've known Jim a long, long time. Actually, he knows a little bit about music, and from time to time he plays different instruments around. He began teaching in the secondary system in Beaumont. He plays several different instruments. I know the clarinet and trombone, saxophone, piano maybe a little. Anyway, I don't think he sings though, so we won't ask him to sing, but he's very talented, gives of himself in lots of ways. He retired from, well, he's not retired actually, I don't think he still works, but he's been at the high school level. He's had independent businesses of his own, and he also was a professor at Lamar. So it's my pleasure at this time to introduce Jim Boone.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, members of the Heritage Society, and especially you youngsters who have taken the time to write Toast to Texas. Welcome to the Toast to Texas event here at Heritage Village. You know, we adults sometimes throw around words and we assume that young people know what we're talking about. The older I get, the more I realize that's just not the case. I sometimes feel like I'm talking a foreign language to some of my younger family members. Things like the word heritage. What is heritage? What is it to us? What is a heritage village, although you're standing in it? What is it really? And what is a heritage society? Let's cover heritage first. Heritage is something we inherit. That is, we get something from someone. Someone has left us something, usually someone from our past, like our parents, our grandparents, and others. From our parents, we inherit all kinds of things. We inherit things like physical characteristics like hair color, eye color, height, in some cases width, in my case. And in addition to that, we can inherit property. Like I might have my great-grandfather's pocket knife or great-grandma's quilts, so we can inherit property as well. But there are more things. We inherit far more than just that. We inherit attitudes, values, pride, and things of that nature. How many of you are proud to be Texans? Raise your hand. I know I am. I came here when I was about 3, and I regretted all my life that I wasted the first 3 years of my life not being a Texan. And I'm reminded of that occasionally from friends of mine who were born in this state. We inherit things like cities, towns, states. This place was a wilderness. There was nothing here. Woodville was not here. Some people before us settled, formed this town, like they did Coleman, Spurger, Chester, Warren. I miss anyone? I don't think so. So people before us formed these towns. We were born into them. If you were born in Woodville, there was a town already there for you. You didn't have to do a thing. You inherited that. So we inherit those things, and we inherited the state of Texas also, and hopefully that pride. This land where we were, or where we are now, was once nothing but wilderness, and it was first settled perhaps by the Indians, followed by groups of people from several European countries, Mexico, and then of course later we became the Republic of Texas, a country, and lastly the state of Texas. How did we get here? I'm glad you asked. Let's see, 1836, 178 years ago, in this state, and not far from here, in the northern part of Mexico called Cahila de Tejas. And that's the Tejas part was the Indian name for this area. Part of this land would eventually become Texas. Americans who had settled here and a lot of Mexicans who had also come north and settled here decided they no longer liked the Mexican government telling them what to do. Some new rules and regulations and laws had come down. They weren't happy at all, and they didn't want to be governed from as far away as Mexico City. For a year or so prior to 1836, which is the important year in Texas history, about a year or so before that, some of our settlers started protesting and having minor skirmishes with Mexican officials, parts of the Mexican army, Mexican government. And by the fall of 1835, we were pretty much in full revolt against the Mexican government. So that brings us to 1836, in a small village remarkably like this one, and not much bigger, very similar in size. A group of Texas leaders met at a town called Washington, later be called, well, even then, Washington on the Brazos. Why? Because they wanted to distinguish it between Washington on the Potomac, which is up in Washington, of course, in Washington, D.C. So that's how it became Washington on the Brazos. Now imagine with me, you don't have to close your eyes, but imagine with me. This is March the 1st, 1836, exactly 178 years ago. And we're meeting here, we're the delegates, and we're meeting in this village to determine the fate of Texas. course, right here we're meeting outside. The real folks that met that day met in a building that was unfinished because the town was only 3 years old. It was an unfinished town, an unfinished building. The only building they had was large enough to hold the 60 or so delegates that were there, and that's probably close to what we have here. So we met, like today. Today we discussed, we cussed, we talked about, tried to decide what to do with Texas, and we determined that the best thing to do would be to become an independent country. So by tomorrow morning, which would have been March the 2nd, we had written, read aloud, voted, and passed the Declaration of Independence for the Republic of Texas. 3 days later, we lost the Battle of the Alamo. That had been going on all during this time, the siege and the Battle of Alamo. So it didn't take long. Then Santa Anna's army started coming this way, started moving east. A couple of weeks later, we would go on to write the Constitution for the Republic of Texas. And it would be a little more than a month after that that we won our independence. You know, you can declare...
This is a time in this ceremony that we offer a toast to Texas. And as Mr. Boone referenced, we're all here by the blessings of those who have gone before us. The spring water is the essence of life, and many times settlements were founded around areas to where the water was good. The water in Tyler County is good. So we celebrate that in offering this toast to Texas. Would you raise your cups in honor of our great state and those who serve and have served and will continue to serve behind us? Let's offer our toast to Texas. Texas.
Aim. Fire. Recover. Arms. Order. Arms. Load.